Ivar the Boneless, his sad, brutal death revealed. If you are here, it means that you're either a fan of the show or curious about the serious Vikings which everyone is raving about. So tell us, are you team villain or team hero? Do you know why Ivar was called the Boneless? In today's video, we will see all about Ivar and his sad and brutal death. Oh, also don't forget to keep the tissues by your side, because this will break your heart. But before that, we will see the best things about Ivar to make you smile, and in return, you hit the subscribe button to our channel, Historical Saga. Sounds good, right? So, no more further delays, let's dive into the video now. Why was Ivar called the Boneless? So, Ivar the Boneless, also known as Ivar Ragnarsson, the son of the fabled Viking king Ragnar Lothbrok, who was known to be a good man and sometimes even a hero, while his son Ivar was known to be a savage. Ivar, his father and his brothers took control of York and England in the 9th century CE. Ivar was born to Ragnar and Aslug during this time period, but before his birth he was cursed when Ragnar was warned by Aslug to wait 3 nights before consummating their marriage. But due to Ragnar's impatience on their wedding night, he ignored her advice, and in doing so, their son would be born without bones. His epitaph is the tragic outcome of Ragnar's impatience. This is why Ivar was called the Boneless, as he was born with no bones. He needed someone else to carry him around since he was born without bones in his leg or with fragile bones. For everything, he was constantly reliant on someone else. Do you think he was weak and powerless? If yes, we'll assure you, you're wrong. Even if he sounds weak, he was far from being so. He was renowned for his wit and strategic foresight, and he typically served as the captain of his band of brothers on their travels. Ivar, who was frequently carried on a stretcher or a shield, had a genuine ability for planning and tactics. He led his brothers when they embarked on raids together. He could also shoot a bow with ease. In fact, at least in this specific story, his upper torso appears to be extraordinarily strong despite lacking any bones. Ivar stepped up when he encountered King Eystein of Sweden in battle, who had a supernatural cow named Sibylla by his side that inflicted devastation on his foes. He was also an excellent in-depth strategist. In addition to being carried around in a cart owing to his fragility, he's a harsh and nasty spoiled child who developed into a bit of a psychopath and killed his brother Sigurd Snake in the Eye in a fit of wrath. This sounds like a sibling quarrel went too far. By arranging for him to have intercourse with a slave girl, Ivar's brothers wanted to demonstrate his impotence. According to the slave girl, other qualities are more important than potency. Ragnar invited him to travel to England in a subsequent talk they had. Ivar was found by Ragnar sitting in the royal room and accepted to accompany his father on the trip to England after the other brothers have all turned down the invitation. Ivar continued to rule as a provincial king in England for a very long time from York. But he had no offspring to take the throne from him after his death because of the way he was, with no lust or love. This statement has been interpreted to mean that Ivar's physical issues also prohibited him from engaging in sexual activity. But it has also been claimed that possibly his bonelessness really meant that he was unable of performing rather than that he had skeletal issues. But how did he walk? This question must be eating you up right now. You must have wanted to ask so many times at so many instances, right? So, how did Ivar walk? Or who or what cured him? Don't worry, we'll break it to you right now. It was Harbard. He cured baby Ivar, but how? And who was he? Harbard. Harbard is also known as the Wanderer. Aslug, Siggy and Helga's previous dreams had foretold Harbard's impending visit. Harbard is shown in the first perplexing dream scene clutching a snowball that is on fire and having blood flow from his hand. As he is able to treat the infant Ivar the Boneless, Harbard of the Vikings appears to possess healing abilities. In Season 3, Ivar was in excruciating pain, but Ragnar didn't seem to care. Later, Harbard appeared to be using unidentified methods to lessen Ivar's suffering. Ivar would have less suffering in the future according to Harbard, who claimed to have absorbed part of Ivar's suffering. Harbard's actions of letting Siggy drown when he could have easily saved her result in Aslug and Helga developing a chilly attitude towards him. Aslug goes into a blind rage when she learns that Harbard has been having sex with the majority of the women in the town. She sees Harbard, who then quickly vanishes after telling Aslug he cannot be possessed or controlled. Harbard didn't stay in Kattegat for very long, but it was enough time to generate a lot of concern about who he really was. The mystery of Harbard. In Season 4, while the soldiers are once more conducting raids, Harbard makes his way back to Kattegat. Aslug is filled with loneliness and despair when Harbard first appears at the Great Hall's door. According to him, he has heard her calls beyond oceans and has come to answer them, he tells her. He requests to see Ivar, who simply chuckles when Aslug asks the youngster whether he recalls Harbard. Later, when Harbard introduces Aslug as his spouse, Ivar begins to feel uneasy. The majority of the ladies of Kattegat are sleeping with Harbard, as Sigurd learns. When Aslug learns about this, she becomes furious and burns down the whole Great Hall, since she already had misgivings about Harbard's actions. She's angry and envious, yet Harbard seems to be talking to her. Before vanishing once more, he gently instructs her to not try to own or control him. With a card on his hand, Harbard comes into Kattegat and asks Helga for assistance. Aslug, Siggy and Helga, who had all previously dreamt of his visit, were all accepting of him as the traveler and storyteller that he claimed to be. To the amazement of Aslug and the others, Harbard was the only one who was able to relieve Ivar's suffering merely by speaking and touching him. He also showed up when Siggy dove into the icy pond to try to save Hvitserk and Ubbi Ragnarsson from a fate worse than death, despite the fact that he first showed up to Hvitserk as a vision of his dead daughter, Thiri. Aslug developed a severe dislike for Harbard's practice of having affairs with other women while still being her partner. Harbard had both of Odin's eyes, although Odin did not, yet Floki thinks he is the latter. But does it ever cross your mind whether Harbard is real or not? Ivar was a true legend, wasn't he? We liked him quite a lot, but they say good characters die soon. So don't you want to know what were the causes of his death? For that, you gotta subscribe to our channel first, or else the spirit of Ivar will haunt you till you do. Ivar's death. So, the big $1 million question is, how did Ivar die? Was it his illness or was it battle? That is what we are going to see right now. In contrast to his brothers, Ubbi and Hvitserk, the ruthless and apparently unstoppable Ivar does not survive the Viking season finale. Ivar loses his life in combat after observing Hvitserk struggle to continue fighting. Although worn out and injured, Ivar enters the fight so that Hvitserk may retreat and survive, and Hvitserk remarks that Ivar's eyes are blue, suggesting he is at a serious risk of shattering his bones. Ivar the Boneless of the Vikings urges his troops to continue fighting and tells everyone close enough to hear him that he and his people are not afraid to die. He was stabbed numerous times in the stomach with a dagger, which led to his death. He encouraged the closest Saxon warrior not to be terrified, since he wanted to pass away like a real warrior. But as the fight progressed, he felt the bones in his legs begin to give way, and he realized he was about to lose his life. She shouted the Norse gods would greet him there when he arrived at Valhalla after passing away. Ivar may have also chosen to pass away as a sacrifice for all the suffering he had inflicted upon others when his redemptive arc was coming to a close. Well, wasn't that heartrending and painful when he said, "Don't be afraid," and still got stabbed several times in his stomach? But I hope you've enjoyed this video of Ivar the Legend. Would you want to see more videos like this? Then all you got to do is slam that subscribe button to our channel, Historical Saga, until it turns grey. And I will see you in the next video.